The Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by Reaper Apparel Company. Reaper Apparel offers a casual line of superb fit, finish, and comfort. We design for those who refuse to die slowly and choose to live untamed. For those who aren't afraid to face the dark, for the ones that thrive in it, and for those who can appreciate life through a grim lens. That's Reaper Apparel Company. Go to the link in the description of this episode, use the promo code Mike Bono, and get 10% off. Also, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by Tactical Brotherhood, all American-made apparel, which helps support the Second Amendment. You can also find all this in the description of this episode with the link Tactical Brotherhood. Part of every proceed does go to helping veterans. It is a very good cause. All American-made products made right here in Minnesota. Go and check them out. Use the promo code PATRIOT15 to get 15% off your purchase. The Ride Home Rants podcast wants to thank you for listening and let everybody know that we do offer monthly subscriptions to help support the show in other ways other than listening and downloading each episode. What you will get with each subscription is you will get bonus episodes that aren't released to everybody. You will also have a chance to ask me anything each and every month where I will put out a special episode just to answer your questions. You will also get more exclusive content that is not released to everybody. To subscribe to the show, go and click on the link in the description of this episode, and I look forward to your added support and to help us keep this show going. The Ride Home Rants podcast is also brought to you by Buddy's Beard Care. Buddy's Beard Care provides premium men's grooming products at an affordable price. Products are made in Ohio, and Buddy's Beard Care supports local. The majority of our supplies are from other Ohio-based companies. You can find them on social media at Buddy's Beard Care or online at buddysbeardcare.com. Use the promo code BONO15 and he will save you 15%. I've been using these products for a little over 6 months now, and my beard has never felt healthier. It has never grown faster, and according to my wife, it has never felt softer. Also, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by former guest of the show in Matt Landowski in Sweet Hands Sports. Elevate their game with Sweet Hands Sports. Our sports gloves are designed for champions, providing ultimate grip and durability. Achieve greatness with every match. Choose Sweet Hands Sports for the winning edge. Grip your victory at sweethandsports.com. Use the promo code BONO10 and he will save you 10%. He has sent me a complimentary pair of golf gloves. They are so comfortable, durable, and breathable. You won't find a better pair of gloves out there. Again, sweethandsports.com, promo code BONO10. Lastly, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by Deemed Fit, a clothing company from first responders for first responders. These products are so comfortable. They look great. They have great messages on them. They are provided to support first responders, especially those who worked through COVID. All of the proceeds are going to helping veterans and first responders with their mental and physical health. This is a great cause. I support anything that has to do with our first responders and our veterans. Again, deemedfit.co, promo code Mike Bono will save you 20%. Now, let's start the show. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Ride Home Rants podcast. This is, as always, your host, Mike Bono. I'm back. I've had a little bit of a busy schedule. Johnny has been filling in for me, but got a little bit of a lull here, so I can actually get back on and get back with you guys. I got a great guest for us today. He's actually the son of the GOAT, Mike Worrell, and we have his son, Luke Worrell, joining the show with us today. Luke, thanks for joining, man.
Great to be here, Bono. It's awesome to be on the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, we've had your dad on a plethora of times. I'm sure you've been in the room a couple of times when he's been on the show. But, you know, what's it like being, you know, the son of the legend Mike Worrell?
Yeah, I would say from like as far back as I can remember, just always being around college athletics, whether it's basketball or like game shoe work, just always being like at the college, usually like in the basketball gym and going on road trips. And like I used to be the ball boy or water boy on the bench when I was younger. I got ran over a couple times, but on like loose balls, but just always being around like the team basically as a kid growing up. It was just sort of like ever since I can remember, I was just like in the gym at practice or in a side gym and just always at the college.
Gotcha. Yeah. Now, getting ran over as a kid, that definitely builds character later on in life. You know what I mean? Something that sticks with you.
Yeah, I was probably like 5 feet tall, and the guy was like 6'7". So I think I sort of like undercut him, and I don't think I took the bulk of the hit.
He took the bulk of that.
Yeah, I sort of like chop blocked him.
You go for the knees when you get those bigger guys at you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So where did you end up going to college, and where did you grow up and everything like that? I know your dad kind of coached around, so
Yeah, so he got the head job at Illinois College. I was like one. So we moved from Ohio to Illinois, like 30 miles west of Springfield, the capital. And so I grew up in Jacksonville, Illinois, like my whole life. And I went to Illinois College where he coached at and played baseball for a couple of years. And I sort of grew up there for the most of my life until I started working at a couple colleges in Ohio after I graduated.
So you back in Ohio now, or where are you at now?
Yeah. So after I graduated, I helped my dad out at Illinois College for 1 year. That was his last year at Illinois College. And I worked at another college across the street. It was called McMurray. They closed a couple years later. And then 3 years after I graduated, I got a GA at Ashland, and I've been there, then Bethany, and then Muskingum. Bethany's basically sort of in Ohio to me. West Virginia, PA, all the same. So I've pretty much been in Ohio for like 5 years.
I gotcha. Okay. And you're coaching now. Is your dad is what got you into coaching, or how did you get into coaching, or have you always wanted to coach?
Yeah, I think I sort of always had it as like a plan B in the back of my head. I was a psychology major. There's not really much you can do with that undergrad.
Yeah.
You sort of got to go to more schooling, or you go clinical counseling side, which I really wasn't interested in at all. I had a little interest in maybe doing research, but wasn't all in like trying to go like the PhD route. So I'm like, I've just always thought, I'm like, hey, this is always be a plan B. And I tried it. I basically volunteered part-time in Illinois. And then when I got the GA at Ashland, like I was going to grad school, but it was 96% like basketball. And that's where I sort of got like a feel like what it's like. And I liked it a lot. I was with a good head coach, good staff there, really good program. And that's why I'm like, I think I want to do this for a long time.
I gotcha. So where have you coached at?
So yeah, so I was at Illinois College for a year, then McMurray, and then Coach John Ellenwood, who's all-time leader in wins at Ashland. He offered me the GA job late summer, so I was a GA there for 2 years, and then after I graduated, helped my dad at Bethany for a year, and then the last 3 years I've been at Muskingum. I'm going on year 3 right now.
So you're at Muskingum now?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's right up the road from me here, where I'm living now currently. I'm in a little town called Philo, Ohio, near Zanesville. So,
Oh yeah,
very familiar with Muskingum.
We had probably 5, 6, 7 kids from that NBL conference with Philo and all those teams.
Philo just produces basketball players. I don't know what it is. It's a basketball school that, from what I've seen the past 5 years that we've been here. My brother-in-law is actually the head coach now of the boys varsity team in Philo. Nephew plays there. Yeah. He actually went to Muskingum. He coached at Muskingum for a little while. Everyone typically knows him that is there. It's Jason Trout.
Yeah. I've lost track. There's, probably 15 to 20 plus Muskingum alumni that played for Coach Burson, Coach Jim Burson. He was there for about 50 plus years. He's sort of like a legend. And I think it's just a good has always had a really good education program. There's just like a lot of head coaches in Ohio that played at Muskingum or went there, and we played OU a couple weeks ago, and they have a really they're one of their best players, probably their best player, AJ Clayton, played at Philo.
Yeah, that name sounds familiar. For sure. I know I've heard that name. Going to a couple of my nephew's games when I can, when my schedule allows me to. But yeah, it's just weird, It's such a small world that you don't realize how many people are that close to you. And yeah, I didn't know you were at Muskingum. I actually would have made this a little easier, but
yeah, it's sort of that conference with Philos. We have quite a few players. It's a pretty good basketball conference. It gets a little underlooked because some people don't know where it's at in the state.
Yeah, the MVL,
in that Muskingum Valley League.
Yeah, the MVL is it's tough. Even there's some of the football teams in the MVL are tough, but it's just you're like it's underlooked, it's underappreciated because I mean the town of Philo is a town of 500 people, so it's considered a village.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So there's not like a lot of people that actually give it a second glance. Now like Zanesville, I mean it's a little bit bigger of a town, but it's still not that big of a town if you think about it.
No, yeah.
So no one really knows like, where we're at, and it doesn't give the recognition that it deserves. I hear a few things, on the radio. They were talking about it this morning on my drive into work, flashing the scores and everything like that. But it's just like that's going to Zanesville and the surrounding areas. I wish more people knew so they can get a little bit more recognition because they have some tough players.
Yeah, like we have a Tri Valleys. I feel like always since I've been in Ohio, I've always sort of heard of them. They're sort of always pretty good in football and basketball. Yeah. But I mean, we have a kid from Tri Valley. We have a kid from John Glenn. A couple of kids from Sheridan. We have a kid from Riverview, right out in Warsaw, outside of Coshocton. So we've had a handful of NBL kids. Because just right, we try to hammer down those guys in our backyard because they're familiar with Muskingum, and we have guys in the team from that conference. They all know each other from that area.
Yeah, it makes for an easier gel of the team when you have people that are, they grew up playing each other in the MVL. They know how each other plays, and that just works with the team.
Yeah, our MVL guys usually they usually have teams are pretty successful, so they're used to winning and stuff, so they have good habits.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. It's always a tough game when it's an NBL league. It's never just blowouts. It's always coming down to the wire or overtime games from what I've seen when they get into conference play. So, and
yeah, exactly.
I can tell you this just from looking at the Philo roster and watching what I have. You're going to have some great players coming up in this sophomore class. I can tell you that right now. So in a couple years, they're already calling the five sophomores that are on the team the Fab Five, because when they're on the court together, they've been playing since they were old enough to pick up a basketball together. So like they just know where each other is on the court, and they're just phenomenal athletes. They have a bunch of kids that are in the 10,000 bucket club, 20,000 bucket club, and they're always. I haven't seen my nephew in the time that I've been around him without a basketball in his hand. Like he's forever when he can, he's out shooting, and he's always working on his craft. It's amazing to see young people with that kind of drive. I don't feel like you don't see that anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Basketball is the one game compared to any sport, in my opinion, you can just sort of escape. You can't, play catch with baseball by yourself. You can't, throw football to yourself, but you can just sort of always have a ball and get better. But I saw Philo play at Coshocton earlier this year, and Coshocton's one of the better teams this year, and they played them well for most of the game, and I could tell they had a lot of underclassmen playing.
They're a very young team. Yeah, they're a very young team, which, that's only going to bode well for them by the time those kids are seniors. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We have one of our volunteer assistants, he does radio shows, and we always joke on the bus that Philo might have the best mascot in Ohio.
The electric.
with the electrics. Yeah, they're like, if they had a draft if they had like a March Madness of mascots, they'd make like the Final Four.
It's not a bad
Their
mascot.
mascots.
Big old lightning bolt with a Superman cape on. Half the time I see him at football games, he always has a cape on.
Yeah, exactly.
But where do you see yourself one day with coaching? Like, what's the ultimate goal with coaching for you?
Yeah, I mean, when I like was a, I don't, when I was like a G at Ashland, I was trying to just, continue to get better. And I didn't really have like people be like, what do you want to do in 5 years? I wasn't really sure. I was trying to just take it one day at a time and get the next opportunity. I don't really get like caught on levels. Like obviously Muskingum's Division III. I think, I wouldn't be opposed to going up, but I would also, would have interest in probably becoming a head coach someday. But I don't know if you can plan out all that stuff, but I would like to be a head coach someday. And if that doesn't work out, I like being an assistant too. They both have their pros and cons to me.
Yeah, I dabbled with a little bit of coaching. It's weird though. My sport was swimming, so it's a sport where you
Yeah.
can coach, but you're not doing a lot during the meets, and the meets are brutal. They're so long. And I've been swimming since I was 8, all the way through college up at Bethany, and so I know how long of it's a whole day of an event, and it's. I just don't have the time. I would love to be a coach because I always said I'd make a better coach than I would an athlete.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, swimming is, I feel like it's a team sport, but it's also individual. And it's like probably similar track. Those meets take a long time.
Like I still think back to regionals in high school. I remember getting to the natatorium at like 8 a.m. and we weren't leaving there till 8 p.m. It was a 12-hour event, and I probably swam maybe 5 or 6 events, and they were so spread out. And it was just like, okay, I can get myself motivated for these two that are kind of like back to back. I have an individual and then a relay. And then I had like 3 hours to just try to keep myself motivated, loose, and just stay warm and not tighten up and cramp up and waiting. And then I had to get back into the pool for 2 or 3 more. It's a long day. And the coaches help. The people don't know that, the coaches are out there like, all right, are you stretching while you're sitting here? Or are you just kind of sitting here trying to get stiff? Are you getting fluids in you? Are you getting any carbs in you since we have time? There's a lot of that stuff that people don't see with coaching.
Yeah. I mean, Muskingum opened a new indoor facility, I think 2 years ago. It was about 30 or 39, 30, 40 million, but they hosted the OAC indoor meets last year. And like, we went over to watch some of it, and the kids weren't doing their event. They were usually like, had a blanket and like, were like napping because there was so much time in between, whether theirs or they were waiting for it. They might have a few hours. So like, they can't warm up for 3 or 4 hours.
Right.
It's just a long day.
There's only so much you could do. Yeah. I had teammates that they would bring their blankets or the Snuggies or whatever, and they would just curl up on the side and just take a nap for an hour. If I got 3 hours, I'll grab an hour nap, wake up, get in the cool down, the warm up pool, and do a couple laps, warm myself back up, and then I'm good to go. It's just like I can't nap and then try to get back up and get back into the pool. I was always that guy, like I had to be doing something.
Yeah, exactly. I think I did one day of track in like 8th grade. Wasn't very fast, and I tweaked my hamstring. Then in high school, the high school I went to, they did the high school didn't have a pool, but it was at the school my dad worked at. So I'm like, I'm gonna try swimming. So my friends would try it, and I did one down and back, and I just was trying to go so fast. I had no form and was just like tired. I'm like, yeah, I can't be a swimmer.
Yeah,
just all arms, just trying to go fast, and like everybody's just not even trying. lapping me basically.
Yeah, it's a tough sport. People don't give it the credit that it deserves. I still remember. I know I've told this story out here a couple of times, but it's still makes me laugh. There was a football player out Bethany who would always just rag on me for being a swimmer. My sport wasn't tough. There's nothing to it. Anybody could do it. So I brought him to the pool. I was like, all right, well, why don't you come back and we'll do you can do one of my workouts and tell me how tough you think it is. And I was like, and I'll do it with you. And I've already done one today. And we
Yeah,
got through the warm up, and he's like, "Oh man, that was intense." I was like, "Dude, that's just to get us ready for what we're about to do." Like that, and then
yeah,
seeing him soar the next day because he had used muscles he had never really used before that he used in the pool. That was just all the reward in the world for me to be like, so it's not tough, huh? Like you're in the middle of your football season and you should be in the best shape of your life right now, and you're sore from doing half of my
yeah,
work because you didn't even make it through the full thing.
yeah. Swimming, like I think I read a book my first year of college. It had nothing to do with classes, but it was called The Sports Gene. And like it was about a lot of like body builds and stuff. And I just never realized this. I always watched like the Olympics and everything, but they would be like Michael Phelps is I don't know how tall he is, but he had his legs were about the height of like someone 5'8" because his torso was so long. I'm like, oh my, so like his legs are not much. They're like mine, but he's like 8 inches taller than me.
Yeah, I read his biography. That was one of the few books I actually read. I wasn't that much of a reader back then, but yeah, his legs are the legs of somebody who was like 5'8", 5'9". His torso is the length of somebody who is like 6'7", and
Yeah,
his wingspan is like somebody who's well over 7 foot. And it's just like,
yeah,
so you were just built to be a swimmer. Like if you have that frame and that awkwardness, like you were built for the pool.
yeah. Because I was probably like seventh or eighth grade when he won all those medals in that Olympics. Might have been in China, and that's when I sort of
Beijing, yeah.
got into it. And I'm like, I didn't know his wingspan and torso was that big, or I might have been like, man, this is the greatest swimmer ever.
Yeah. He's the
But I mean, that's
most
probably just
decorated Olympian of all time. Like he was definitely a guy that I looked up to trying to come up in the swim.
yeah. And the guys now are like, they had a couple good guys this year, and I'm just like, he's not Michael Phelps.
He's not Michael Phelps. That Caleb Dressel, he's actually swam at Tri Valley.
Oh, he
So
did.
he's a local boy here to Ohio. So I was rooting for him this
Yeah.
year. But I mean, people were calling him the next Michael Phelps. Like, there's no way. Like, there's no way he could do that. And people were like, well, this is his third Olympics. Second, we've never heard of him. It was like, because he swam in an Olympics with Michael Phelps. There's just, you're not going to get any recognition when you're in the pool with that guy.
No. It's like in the playoffs last year in the NBA, they were comparing the guy for the Timberwolves and to Michael Jordan. I'm like, don't do that.
So,
That's some high expectations.
yeah, it's just, now, are you a bigger NBA fan or are you a bigger college hoops fan?
I I use right now it's sort of like 50-50. My it used to be mainly NBA because when LeBron came back to the Cavs, I'm like, we got to get League Pass. And then once we got League Pass, I just started watching NBA every night. And I'm like, oh, these guys score more. I like watching the players. So it's probably mainly NBA for a long time. I still lean NBA if there's a game on because I watch so much college scouting and stuff. But probably NBA. I would lean. College has a lot more variety of styles. NBA is sort of all the same, but it's so structured and organized. I just like watching the best players play.
Yeah, see, basketball's never really. It's weird because I'm 6'5". Everyone's like, "Oh, you must have been a hell of a basketball player." I was like, "There's a reason I swam. Like, there's a reason I was in the pool and not on the court." So I've always leaned more towards college. Just like watching, the kids. It seems like they were
Yeah,
playing for something a little bit more in my mind to get to the NBA. So
yeah,
I've always leaned more to that. Now I'll watch the NBA when it gets down here finals time, just to kind of watch how that kind of plays out in the
yeah,
playoffs there. But other than that, yeah, I lean more college for me.
yeah. I sort of just pick up on the teams I like and try to just watch them. I don't really have a particular favorite, but some teams
Yeah.
just funner to watch. I feel like.
Yeah, if anybody asked me NBA, like who my favorite team would be, I'd have to say the Bulls because I grew up a Jordan fan watching the Bulls. So like I can't change now. Like being as old as I am, I've stuck with it this long. But
Yeah,
I couldn't tell you what their record is right now to save my life. So
no, it's such a long season. There's so many games.
I don't know how
Uh,
everybody like stays up with that and watches that and knows like when the games are, how many. Like it's a long season. I'm a hockey fan, and I know there's a lot of games in that. Now, I don't watch
yeah,
every game, like so. It's just it. I watch it when
yeah.
I can, but I'm not like that diehard into it. Just because it's such a long season,
No,
it's
yeah,
it's hard to stay focused that for that many games.
hockey's one sport I've been trying to get into the last like 5, 6 years. The Blues won the cup, I think, when I was in college, so I sort of hopped on that bandwagon. And a couple of my friends loved it, and I'm like, man, this has a lot of similarities to like basketball. Like it keeps my attention, and I've been to a lot of live games. I can't follow the puck on TV, but it is the one sport that I always knew this growing up. They always said hockey's the only sport that's better live in any seat in the gym than watching it on TV. I'm like, yeah, is definitely true.
100% true. I mean, I love hockey. I watch it on TV, but there's nothing like being in an arena, watching that game, and feeling the energy of those players because there's just nonstop. It's like you said, it's like
Yeah,
basketball. It's up and down, up and down. I mean, these guys are getting in and off the ice in under 3 minutes, and
yeah,
like just the changes that they make and how fluid the whole game flows. It's amazing to me.
yeah.
And there's
And like
and
I
there's
played, oh my bad,
no, you're good. Go ahead.
I played football, but I'm like, I think these hockey players, I mean, football guys are physical and tough, but I don't know if I could do a puck to the face. I think those guys are some of the toughest pro athletes out of any sport.
They are, and it was funny to me. I can't remember when it was. It was a couple years ago, and I saw it. It was all over social media. They had taken a select group of hockey players, and they said, "All right, we're going to put you through like a football workout and training camp."
Yeah,
And they did it like it was nothing. And then they did the opposite. They took some football players and said, "All right, we're going to put you on the ice." And they could barely even stand up. And it was like Larry Fitzgerald and like all these big name guys that are just like freak athletes on the football field. And they didn't even know what to do when they got on the ice. And it was just like, yeah. And then, growing up a Pens fan, I've seen Sidney Crosby go to Pirate Stadium and be taking their pitcher's yard. Just
yeah,
never swung a bat before, but he has the hand-eye coordination to take some of their
yeah,
pitchers and just in batting practice and just taking them yard. It's insane to
yeah.
me.
And some of these hockey players, like if you saw them walking down the street, we wouldn't might not know they're like pro athletes
Yeah.
because they're not they're athletic. But like if you saw an NBA player, like a big time NFL player, like man, that guy's huge, but these guys are not. They're big, but like they're just so tough. I feel like
And some of them, like if you actually like break down their like weight and height, like they would be like starting linebackers in the NFL. Like there's some guys that they just don't look that
yeah,
big, but like the
yeah,
guys that are 6'3", 215, 220, it's like that's a linebacker in the NFL right now. Like
yeah,
that big,
exactly.
and nobody realizes that that's who it is.
Yeah, but I think that hockey is there's I mean there's 5 or 6 out there. It's real similar to basketball. The courts actually sort of or the rinks I feel like sort of similar length, just nonstop. There's just no stoppage.
Yeah, absolutely. Uh, and I've even tried to. I just can't. I don't have the time to follow it. But even the college hockey and finding that because they're getting down and close to their Frozen Four, kind of like the Final Four with men's basketball and everything like that. And I'm just wondering, like with you with being in D3 now, are you seeing the same type of like NIL and transfer portal problems that like these big schools are having?
I don't. it's trickled down from a transfer standpoint, probably. The NIL, not as much. It's more dependent on the school, probably. It's just, yeah, I don't. There are kids transferring for sure. That's trickled down. I think it's more of like a mindset with this generation because they see all these top and any kids, just any top tier kids. They all know the top recruit transfer. They know a lot of kids will transfer high schools now, maybe get a better opportunity, get more exposure. The NIL is a little different. Um, it's probably a little different at the D2 and D3 level. It's more school dependent. I don't think some of these schools, I mean, like those people would give money to the boosters, your boosters club or whatever you want to call it. But they'll get more money for like the experience, helping these kids get, go overseas, go on big trips, get a lot of gear. The NIL is a little, some kids can do it on their own, but at D2 and D3, unless you're in a unique situation, there's not a lot of heavy money being thrown around for the most part.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I've always wondered how that would work for D3 because I know a lot of D3 they can't give like full ride athletic scholarships. So, I just didn't know how that would work. And if they or if they're transferring now trying to go D1 to get that NIL money, it's just I don't agree with the transfer portal, and that I never have. It's like, oh well, this isn't working for me here. I'm going to go here and play. It's like, no, you kind of signed a contract to play at at a school. You should kind of stick it out.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's in a gray area, and I think that's why so many of those legendary college coaches have sort of just stepped down. They just it's such a lot. You have to adapt, but it's gotten to a point for some of these guys, like, I don't know, Jay Wright. There's been a lot of them that have left. It's just a lot going on. They're not used to that. They're not used to having to re-recruit their guys. Before with because all the people that coach a long time, they're like, hey, it used to be perfect. You had to sit out a year.
Right.
It won't ever go back to that, but it's just the amount of times you can do it.
Right. If you could do it one time, like if you could only do it one time, I'd be okay with it. This okay, I played here at Alabama and I didn't really start or play much. So now I'm going to go here to Georgia where they're going to say I'm going to play more. Oh, well, now I'm not playing here. So now I'm going to go to like West Virginia and play, pick a team and stay with it. I understand you're trying to grow a future, but work at it,
Yeah. And that complicates it a little more. I feel like, I mean, I don't know other sports as well, like football and stuff. But like with basketball, as these D1s get to like the midpoint or 2/3 of the way, a lot of these kids they know they're already going to leave. So it's a sort of tricky situation for everybody involved.
Right. I figure basketball is a little bit different when they can have the one and dones and go to the NBA or the G League or whatever, and basically start their pro careers.
Yeah, I think all coaches agree they want the kids deserve to be rewarded. It's a lot of people debate who's there, who are they going to go back to if they graduate? They were only there for a year. Is that their alumni? You know what I mean?
Right.
Where can they go back to 20 years from now when they're not playing that sport? And, they could be at a school for 3 years, but they transfer that's not their home anymore. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. That's a tricky situation.
But we will see. It'll work its way out, hopefully.
I feel like it'll work its way out because you're going to be losing a lot of legendary coaches from this and everything like that. And I think it's just, I know it's good for the sport. The kids need to be paid, for their likeness. I understand that, but for schools to just offer them money to pull them from a program, I don't agree with that either. But Luke, we are running down here near the end of the episode. I do need to get this segment in. And it is the Fast 55. 5 random questions from the wonderful manager of the podcast, Johnny Fitty Falcone. These are kind of rapid fire, but you can elaborate if you need to. And knowing Fitty, you probably will. And he sent these to me like 5 minutes before we started
Okay.
to record. So we're gonna read these together, and if you're ready, we'll go ahead and get going.
Awesome. Sounds good.
All right. Question number 1: is a better color red or green?
Ooh, I'm gonna have to go red. I know
Red?
green's got a lot of nature in it, but red is just a lot of good sports and colleges. Everything goes with red.
You got the red hoodie on today too.
Yeah, it's Muskingum's color.
There you go.
I've been in a lot of red. Red's just a good sports color.
I got you.
And green is a Celtics, so I'm not a big Boston fan.
I can get on board with that too as well. So, question number 2: what is the worst name for a pet?
For a pet, I'd probably say just like a common human name would be a bad name for a pet, like John or Jim, or that's just a human name to me, not a pet name.
I got you. I got you. No worries. Question number 3: what is the best holiday?
Yeah, I got to go with Christmas. I always say that the only two things in the winter I like are Christmas and basketball season. Christmas is over, so it's all basketball season now.
Oh, basketball season. I got you. Question number 4: who was the best pro wrestler of all time?
Oh, my favorite one, or like this is a real like.
Just your opinion. Who's the best pro wrestler of all time? Could be your favorite one. Yeah, that's just all the questions.
I don't know a ton of wrestlers, so I'm just gonna have to. As a kid, I always watched VH1 and MTV, so I'm just gonna have to go with Hulk Hogan because I just know him the most.
Okay, that's a solid choice, by the way. Somebody grew up watching wrestling. It's a solid choice. All right, last question here. What is the most overrated food?
The most overrated food. Ooh, that's a tough one because I can eat pretty much anything. I don't want to get people mad on this, but I might have to go. I can't go main entree. I might have to go. This is going to upset a lot of people. I might have to go French fries.
French fries. Okay. I can see that because
for me, I gotta have like a good. They gotta be elite. If they're not elite, they gotta dip them in something. So I usually end up dipping them with a sauce. Take out the sauce, I wouldn't be a fry fanatic.
I could see that because it took them too long. They're too crunchy. Don't cook them long enough. They're soggy. I can see where you're going with that. I can see where you got to that.
Yeah, left over, they get too dry.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you on that one. Well, look, like I said, we're running down near the end of the episode. I do give every guest this opportunity at the end of the show. So if there's anything you want to get out there, whether it's just a good message or if there's anything you want to do maybe to help recruit for Muskingum, I'm going to give you about a minute and the floor is yours.
Yeah, I mean, this is my third year at Muskingum with our head coach, and we're in the Ohio Athletic Conference OAC. It's usually top 2, 3, 4, 5 conference in the country every year based on rankings, and we've had a pretty good start. We're 4-1 in the OAC, which is the best record Muskingum's had since like 1989. So we're trying to keep that momentum going. The students are about to get back from break tomorrow. If anybody's local to Muskingum, they'd really enjoy, I think, watching us play. Our guys play really hard. They play together, have a lot of fun. And we're going to have a lot of home games this year, conference games. It will be a pretty exciting atmosphere. If anybody's local, I mean, D3 games can get a little underlooked, but there's a lot of really high level basketball players, especially in our conference. It's like sort of like the Big Ten Division III. Just every team we play is good, and it's just competitive basketball.
All right. Yeah. Hey, I did not know you were that close. So if my schedule allowed, I'm going to try to get out and see you guys play when I can for sure. You'll have to let me know and send me a schedule so I can know when I can try to be there for you and definitely support you. And I will be following you anytime we have any coaches on. You can ask them. I do follow them and, try to keep up with what's going on. So I'll be rooting for you there at Muskingum. Thank you for coming on. We really do appreciate you coming on, taking time out of your evening here to sit and talk with me here.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Bono, and you did a good job with podcasting. I know you're from Philo, but I'll probably be at a couple Philo games recruiting this year.
All right. Well, definitely be looking for you if I see you there for sure. As always, if you enjoyed the show, be a friend, tell a friend. If you didn't, tell them anyways. They might like it just because you didn't. That's going to do it for me, and I will see y'all next week.
The Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by W Energy. Energy drinks made for gamers, streamers, and podcasters alike. For gamers, streamers, and podcasters alike. Go to the link in the description where you can find the best energy drinks out there. Less caffeine than a cup of coffee. Also, no jitters and no crash afterwards. Use the promo code Mike Bono and get yourself 10% off. Also, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by my favorite sponsor of the show, and that is Shankit Golf. Golf apparel made for the everyday golfer. We might not go out and shoot a 6 under par. We're probably going to shoot a 6 over par, but this is going to give us the gear that's going to help us rock it on and off of the course. Go to the link in the bio, use the promo code Mike Bono, and get yourself 10% off there as well.